All right, everybody, here we go. Welcome to Mikey and the Mad Dog. I am Mad Dog DeCipio, and he is Mikey Messier. We've got stories, we've got opinions, we got laughs, guests, and yeah, we got a whole lot to say. So turn it up because Mikey and the Mad Dog is live. Mikey, let's get this party started. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. I'm here in Cranston, Rhode Island. I had a great week of filming on a film called Friday Night Lies. Should be out in a year or so. And glad to see some friends in New England and glad to talk to you tonight.
Beautiful, beautiful. I can't wait for this film. Like I anticipate all of your films, always good work.
Thanks.
At least, yep, your work is always top notch. Mikey, where did you study acting at?
The first acting class I took was with a gentleman named Fred Sullivan at Perishable Theater right here in Providence, Rhode Island. And then I took a few more classes, Perishable Theater, and took some classes after I graduated from college at the Community College of Rhode Island, including a really good improv class with the late Jeff Butterworth was a teacher. We really had fun in that improv class. Then I went to Maine Media Workshops, which is in Rockport, Maine, and I was an actor in residence up there. And in that experience, I had a lot of basically free education. It was kind of a trade. My acting for room and board, and when I say my acting, I acted in a lot of student films up there. And but a gentleman named Barry Primus, who was on the TV show Cagney and Lacey, he played, I believe, Lacey's boyfriend for a few seasons. And Barry was in Martin Scorsese's second film called Boxcar Bertha. Barry was my teacher, and I took a lot of his lessons to heart, and I started teaching acting myself in Providence, Rhode Island for about 10 years. So I would say most of the stuff I learned that I kept was from Barry Primus, but some of the improv stuff from Jeff Butterworth and Fred Sullivan and other great teachers too.
Beautiful. I'll tell you what, it paid off well for you. And tonight's show kind of segues into the field of acting, film, television. We're tonight's show. We're gonna, and I went back and forth with. I'm just gonna go with the original title, which is Hollywood Muckery and Government Fuckery. And yes, and so you've been involved in a lot of film projects, some television. Do you find that if a director has an agenda, he can weave it into a film project subliminally? Does that happen often on indie films?
Well, not even subliminally, but consciously, and stuff that can be really apparent. And it's interesting you use the term agenda. I think a director should have an agenda, whether it's as broad as to entertain or to make people laugh or to make them cry or to provoke thought. I think one gentleman that's come under fire for having an agenda in film because he labeled his films as documentary was Michael Moore. Traditionally, a documentarian filmmaker basically records what happens and lets the audience make their own conclusions. Michael Moore, on the other hand, with Roger and Me was his first big movie, and Bowling for Columbine was a great one. But typically, Michael goes into a project with a point of view already in mind, usually a left-wing liberal point of view, and he wants to convince the audience, whether they agree with him going into the process or not, to go to his side of the argument. And he'll do whatever he has to do, whether it's making Charlton Heston look silly or whatever he has to do to make his point. Well, that's not really documentarian filmmaking. I would call that an agenda-based filmmaker. So
Absolutely, it sounds like it to me. And the reason I ask you these questions and we talk about this because we have some films tonight. I made a list of, and this is a short list, Mikey. And I'm sure if I know you, if I know anything about you, and I think I know quite a bit about you, if I know anything about Mikey Messier, you've probably seen every one of these movies. So let's start with, and I made a list of 21 films here.
All right.
I want to start with the bottom of the list and work our way to number one. So, conspiracy theory, a not so veiled attempt at pushing forth the conspiracy agenda. And I really believe that it's a conspiracy agenda that films like conspiracy theory push, because what they're trying to do, at least in my humble opinion, for whatever the hell that's worth, what they're trying to do in my estimation, Mikey, is to convince you, the audience, that not only is this possible, probable, and plausible, but that it's factual.
Right.
Your thoughts on that? A film like Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson.
Yeah, Mel Gibson. This movie came out about 20 years ago, right?
It sure did.
Yeah, I saw it in the theater at the time, and I want to say that this was released before Mel had a series of situations that were not good for his career, and before he did The Passion of the Christ, I believe. And Mel, such an interesting career, such a roller coaster of being everybody's favorite until being very dejected and hated by a lot of people. So from what I remember about conspiracy theory, it was one of the first times that term was used in the mainstream. I don't remember much about the plot, except wasn't there a character? Didn't Gibson himself play the character that was the conspiracy theorist who was kind of locked up in his room with newspapers and stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, in that case, just you can say that Mel Gibson, who had played the Patriot and had played, Wallace and Braveheart and all these other, the Lethal Weapon character, if Gibson was willing to play a character who was the conspiracy theorist, that's kind of endorsing the conspiracy theorist, because typically Gibson, to that point at least, always played the hero, the noble character. Yeah. And if he's willing to put his name and his body and his likeness, I know it's fiction, folks, but even so, if he's willing to personify a conspiracy theorist, in a sense, he's saying that these guys aren't so crazy after all.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because recently in an interview that Mel did with I just had his name. Oh God, Russell Brand. He did an interview recently with Russell Brand, and I almost forgot his name.
Right.
He did an interview with Russell Brand, and he said, it's interesting, Mikey. He said the character that was most like himself was the character from Conspiracy Theory.
Right.
Because Mel considers himself a natural, I guess, and I want to use the term he used, a naturalized conspiracy theorist.
Okay.
In that he doesn't really believe much of what he hears, little of what he actually sees, and he's lately in the well, you mentioned it. His career took a divine header. It went from the heights down to the depths.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, though, it all started, with comments about, a particular Jewish population.
Right.
And then right after that, he goes and makes one of the greatest films of his career, Passion of the Christ.
Right.
So, I don't know if that helped feed him into, maybe he needed to build up a catharsis for Jewish people to make this movie. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here. But a film like Conspiracy Theory, it's scary that he would say that that's the film that's most like him, that character. The other one, Mikey, the next one in my list here is something I'm absolutely certain that you saw.
Okay.
And we're seeing a lot of this today, especially in balls to the wall social media, something called Wag the Dog. A film with Dustin Hoffman. Yes, there you go. Talk to me, Mike.
I did see that one, and that one I believe is Dustin Hoffman plays a filmmaker who's enlisted by the president's inner circle, the president of the United States' inner circle, to direct a fake war. And I believe a young Kirsten Dunst is in this movie as well. It's
Yes,
got an
sir.
all-star cast, and basically the idea was, I don't know if it was the president had a series of affairs, and if so, he was probably making fun of Bill Clinton or alluding to Clinton in any event. But basically, let's put on a fake war in order to play. Is it Three Card Monte, that game?
Yeah, divert the attention.
Yeah, when you have the balls, the shell game. When you're here's the ball under this shell, you move the shells around,
Yeah.
and it's a way to distract people from.
Oh, sure.
The idea was
Well, yeah, the whole thing, Mikey, was, and you just put your finger on it. The whole thing was, to divert their attention. Look over here.
Right.
Oh, look here. While, everything else, the real action is like over here.
Yeah.
Talk to me about this movie. I'll be honest with you. I've not seen Wag the Dog.
Well, it was very of the time because I believe it came out towards the second half of the Clinton years, which was essentially 92 to 2000 when Bill Clinton was in office. And I think around the time of the second term, even people that liked Clinton were starting to see his faults, his hypocrisies. And that was on a very personal level because he had a wife, she had made the infamous quote of "I'm not a Tammy Wynette, stand by your man" type of wife, and so forth. And then Clinton's affairs with Monica Lewinsky and was her name Ginger Flowers or something like that.
Jennifer Flowers. Yeah, Jennifer Flowers.
So Clinton was getting poked a little bit by the Hollywood people that probably voted for him. And when I say poked, mocked. And I think this movie also took. There's a rumor in Hollywood or in the world that those that believe that the man on the moon landing back in the 60s was faked. Some people believe that the film director Stanley Kubrick was enlisted to direct a fake moon landing. And I believe that this movie, Wag the Dog, was also inspired by that rumor that, through Hollywood magic, we can make a war that doesn't exist with a country that doesn't even exist in order to distract from the president's affairs. Literally.
That's absolutely spot on. Now, I haven't seen it. I've only read about it. But it sounds very much like what's happening today. I'll give you a perfect example. The Charlie Kirk assassination.
Right.
I am 1000% convinced, not only by the rumor and innuendo, but by the factual information, that was completely staged to divert attention from what's really happening. A film like Wag the Dog, is it art imitating life or life imitating art? That's the $1 million question that the filmmaker justifiably asks and answers, by the way.
there's
the other thing, Mikey, is that I'm sorry, go ahead. You're making the statement, God.
Yeah, just for the people that have seen the film or for those that haven't, this will not spoil the whole thing because I do think, Angelo, you should watch it. I think you'd enjoy the film. But there's a famous quote. Dustin Hoffman's character of the film director, once he's pulled off this magic trick of pulling off this fake war, he's shocked to discover that they're not going to publicly announce that he did it. Like, to him, the whole point of pulling off this trick, kind of like Orson Welles with the War of the Worlds radio broadcast that had a fake, attack from Mars. But basically, Hoffman's character says, I want the credit. And I'll let you see the film. I won't spoil it. But if you just remember that term, I want the credit. That kind of sums up a lot of filmmakers, myself included. You always want the credit.
They've just, look, as long as that's on that scroll, man,
Yeah, yeah,
you know.
yeah.
One of the next one, I've actually seen these films, and it's a series of 3 of them.
Yeah.
Among my favorite films, because I like Nicolas Cage because he's in everything that's ever made now. National Treasure 1, 2, and 3. The idea that the founding fathers hid clues and um, uh, clues and little riddles and hints into precious documents as to what they were up to. Your thoughts on before we get too deep into the subject, your
Right.
thoughts on the way National Treasure handled the subject matter of weaving hints and clues into real life historical documentation.
I don't remember. I think I saw the first National Treasure movie and not the other ones. What I remember, and I could be wrong, Angelo, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed that the first movie at least, had a very almost bending the knee to the founding fathers very deeply, in that putting them over, as you'd say in the wrestling terms. Like,
Yeah.
and it's true. I mean, the founding fathers were terribly brave and terribly wise in most ways. And I think the only asterisk on there is the fact that we had slavery at the time, which it seems hypocritical to what they were doing as far as pursuit of liberty and so forth. So, but that being said, I think it was an interesting concept that we do have groups like the Masons. If I'm not mistaken, Angelo, did the first National Treasure movie try to make a case that groups like the Masons are really positive, wonderful groups? Because that's what I remember. I don't know if I'm confusing this with another series of
No, you're not far off base. You're not far off base. And historically, I'm going to take some heat for this, but that's okay. The Masons actually are a benevolent group. They are not the malevolent or, sadistic group that people think they are. They're really not. I'll give you a personal example.
Okay.
My doctor, my physician, is a full-blown 33rd degree Mason.
Right.
And does more for people that you'll never know about, because he just does it because he can. If free health care, for example, and I'm not supposed to say that, but guess what? Hello.
Right.
If you're sick and you can't afford it, he'll treat you. You don't see that from a lot of people.
No.
The idea that they are vilifying certain groups like the Masons, the Scottish Rites, even in the second and third films, like in the Knights Templar, for example, that are deeply entwined in all 3 films, by the way.
Right.
And who are a real group, of which I am descended from, quite frankly. And I'll just say that.
Okay.
I even have my Templar ring. The other thing, though, and it's interesting, is that the way you put it, that the film put over the founding fathers. All 3 of them did. They were very much, flag waving, heart, hand across the heart, Pledge of Allegiance kind of crew, really.
Right.
You have the protagonist, like you do in any good movie, but then you have to have equally the antagonist, because a baby face is no good without a heel.
Right.
See, I feel like, Al Pacino in Godfather 3, just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Yeah.
Using wrestling terminology. There's no escaping it, Mikey. There's just not. The if you haven't seen National Treasure, I encourage you, my friend, to
Okay.
check out number 2 and 3 because they're really, really good. In fact, I think they go even deeper patriotically than the first one did. A film that I know you saw, and some level of predictive programming, some level of intertwining an agenda in
Yeah.
this film, which is called 3 Days of the Condor.
Wow, I don't think I've seen that, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, it's an oldie. Check it out. To bring it up on your screen there, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. It's a really interesting. It's an older film, 3 Days of the Condor, and it basically not only predicts future events, but accurately predicts the outcomes of these events.
Right.
Using a fictitious storyline. They say fictitious, but if you watch the film, it's much realer. It's much more real. I'll use that. The proper English, Angelo. Much more real instead of saying much realer. English major, Mikey.
I hear you.
Yeah. So the entire film was predicated on what we are supposed to believe is fictitious, but it plays out as very, very real life. As does another film that you might know called The Parallax View.
Well, I don't think I've seen that one either.
Wow. Okay. They're older films. They're more than 30 years old, probably. Every bit of it.
Parallax View is 1974.
Yeah.
3 days of the Condor with Robert Redford and Faye Dunaway is 1975.
Yeah. So it's every bit of like 50 years now.
Yeah.
And then some. So yeah, we're talking, but just to show you that this is not something that's new to Hollywood. I did a show, I guess Mikey, it was about 8-9 months ago, where we did a show called Strange Bedfellows, how Hollywood and the government cohabitate to create your history.
Right.
And that was the name of the show. But in many ways, and I believe even now, the formula in wrestling is if it works, stick with it, right?
Yeah.
I suppose the same thing can be said about filmmaking. If a formula works, stick with it.
Yeah.
The
Fast and the Furious franchise.
Yeah, exactly. Every Elvis Presley movie ever made, horrible as they were, the formulas worked. Elvis sings the song, gets the girl, beats up the bad guy, leaves with the girl.
Right.
The idea, though, that government using the film industry is not new. It's never been new. We are only, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mikey, but I think we are only more aware of it now than perhaps previously. Would you have any thoughts on that, Mikey? You're the film guy. You're the movie historian here. I want you to take like the next 10-15 minutes and just take a deep dive for me.
Well, when you announced the topic of the show, it reminded me of a story that came out about 4 or 5 years ago. Maverick, Top Gun sequel came out. And in full disclosure, I've seen that movie on the big screen 5 times, which is a couple of times more than I've gone to see any other film. I love the movie. I just think it's a great movie. However, there is one part of that movie that caused some controversy, even going back to when the trailer came out. And I don't want to botch the details, but basically on Maverick, Tom Cruise's character, the lead character, he has a jacket that he wore in the first film from back in '87 all the way till now. But the jacket has been modified with certain flags on the back of the jacket to not offend the Chinese government. And or why would he being the Tom Cruise character or the filmmakers who are basically endorsed by the Navy to make the Top Gun movies, why would they care if to offend the Chinese government? Because the Chinese film audience is huge, because China has a huge population, and a certain amount of American blockbusters such as Top Gun Maverick make a heck of a lot of money over there in China. So they're not just dependent on the American couple going out on a Friday night to see Maverick. They're dependent for the amount of money they put into these films and the amount of money that Tom Cruise expects to get for salary. They want a worldwide audience. And part of that, I guess I'll use the same term, bending the knee or making accommodations, however you want to put it, to the Chinese of not having that offensive flag. I think it had something to do with Taiwan, that China doesn't, recognize some of the other countries as countries type of thing. So there you go. I mean, that's in that situation, Angelo, you have the Navy. I watched some videos today that, the government, the military at least, endorses some movies, but it's a game where if these films, these high action films, want to use government resources, namely weapons, as props in their movies, they have to get script approval from the military. And script approval comes at a cost. And what's the cost? You could say your creative freedom, your creative integrity. If you were to write a script and the script has some, like if you remember the film A Few Good Men, there was some characters that were homophobic in the film and murder another soldier because he's homosexual. Would that type of script be approved today by the military if the filmmakers for that great Nicholson, Tom Cruise, Demi Moore film, if they wanted to get that approved today? I don't know if that script would get approved. Probably not, because it would be too controversial. So anytime as a filmmaker, anytime you're going to another entity for approval, especially the military or the government, you're sacrificing a bit of your own creative freedom and your creative integrity, whether you want to admit it or not, I would say.
Mikey, the notion of propaganda films became very popular and gained a lot of momentum, a lot of traction, starting with World War I and really ramped up with World War II and Korea. And those were flat out, just straight up, balls to the walls government movies.
Right.
No, and they featured military cast, or better yet, actors and actresses who had been in the military. For example, Mikey, Ronald Reagan, Jimmy Stewart, John Wayne, Audrey Hepburn, Ava Gardner. They were, they were active members of the military. Ava Gardner was a WAC in the Women's Air Corps back in the 40s. John Wayne was a sergeant. Jimmy Stewart was an airman. He was a pilot, believe it or not. Right. But so these people, and basically they were acting on behalf of the government, but they were acting for the government as well. Today, in the ever-present social media bubble that we all unfortunately live in, is it possible, Mikey, to pull that off the way they did then? even as far as like the 50s and 60s. We had the Vietnam War, and there were propaganda videos, and there was Radio Free Europe and all this other stuff, right?
Yeah.
But then we had a much more patriotic society. I think today, and I'm just, again, my opinion, this is just me. I think people today are far less patriotic, but there is a super loud minority of military people,
Right.
that scream and holler high above the majority of the crowd. Okay, their attention is sought and seen. So, is it possible for films like, for example, This Is the Army with Ronald Reagan and Jimmy Stewart, or Stage Door Canteen with Ray Bolger and William Holden? Can those films be made today objectively with today's audience?
Well, I would go right back to where I just was. Top Gun Maverick was I described it as a fist pump of a movie when I reviewed it, because that's a pretty rah America patriotic movie. The antagonist in Top Gun in Maverick is kind of vague. Like they go on a mission, but I'm not even sure what country or what opponent they're attacking, and maybe that's the point. Maybe that's, if you're trying to sell the movie to the entire world, then don't have anybody be on the bad list, right? So
that's a really interesting point. That's a really good point. All baby faces and no heels.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's an interesting concept. That's a Mike Messier film.
Well,
we got to make that movie, Mikey.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is there's a very beautiful actress who's in Top Gun Maverick, who's one of the pilots. And back in '87, there was no sense of a female pilot. And, in the Maverick movie, it's kind of a ethnically diverse cast of pilots. And back then, it was not. It was Val Kilmer and those guys. So my point is, things reflect the times. As a side note on the ethnically diverse statement I just made, I just had a little mini debate with a friend of mine who was kind of offended that the Odyssey movie had a racially diverse cast. And my response to that was, they're trying to sell tickets to everybody. So if you don't have a couple of African-American actors, or they have a transgender actor, Elliot Page, the former Ellen Page in this movie, if you don't have some representation of different groups in your film, then you're missing out on ticket buyers. That's the bottom line. I mean, I go all the time, Angelo, and especially for horror films, and especially the weekends, in American population like nobody else.
Are you there, Mikey? You froze up. Are you there? Oh, Mikey froze up. Let's see who's in the chat. Ruffian's here. Hey, Ruff.
Hello. Here we go.
I'm here, Mikey.
They got us. They got us.
You froze up for a sec, but we got you.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you talk about diversity in film, because today, when I was and it's just funny how things worked out. Serendipity. Today, I did the schedule for the next 5 shows that we have.
Right.
One of the shows I did was, and I think and I'm trying to do a lot of film shows because of your expertise. A lot of films that have to do with storytelling, shows that have to do with storytelling and character development. But I wrote down today a show idea that we're going to do probably in about 4 weeks, called Is African American Actors Misrepresented in Film? I haven't worked out the title yet, but that's the gist of it.
All right.
Misrepresent, or are they represented at all? other than in low budget African American directed films. But you have to remember though, Mikey, Spike Lee started out that way. Now he's a powerhouse.
Right.
You know, Do the Right Thing blew off the roof. But it was an interesting film with African Americans, Irish Americans, Italian Americans, all in this neighborhood, and everybody knew everybody. So it was but it was a film about inner city life
This is
and doing the right thing.
Yeah, Do the Right Thing, Spike Lee. Yep.
Yeah, I'm Spike Lee. Yep, that's it. The other thing is there's a film here I want to talk to you about called Snowden. Did you see Snowden?
I did
Talk
see
to me about
Snowden.
Snowden.
I off the top of my head, and I'm not Googling, folks, I believe Oliver Stone directed this one. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And it's about Eric Snowden, he was what you call a whistleblower, and it was on privacy. And was it a specific website, Angelo, or the government? Who did
It was Edward Snowden, and I don't know how, he still won't tell anybody how he really did it.
Yeah.
But he hacked the government's CIA supercomputer.
Right.
And got deep inside. And he has, and I still believe he has information that only he has, and he's protected right now by probably the world's greatest protagonist at the moment, believe it or not. Can't make this up, folks. But right now, Vladimir Putin is like baby face as you could get. You know? And
Okay.
Donald Trump is actually the you can't make this shit up. You
Right.
just can't. It's just, I tell people all the time, you can't make this stuff up. And if I tried, I couldn't. You know, as good a writer as you are, Mikey,
Yeah.
you can't come up with these kind of plots. Okay.
So is Snowden protected by Russia now? Is Snowden in Russia?
Absolutely. Oh my God, he is protected like you don't even know, brother.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So when you saw Snowden, what was your takeaway?
Well, it's definitely a thing. What I thought was really interesting, what I remember at the end of the film, they played real life footage of like Obama and Hillary Clinton and other top political people kind of dismissing Eric Snowden or calling him a traitor and so forth. And it's kind of like, well, this guy seems to be living up to the ideals that our forefathers had, 250 years ago, and you folks are not. So it's a bigger, on the bigger topic, it's when people are disillusioned and when politicians complain that people aren't coming out to the polls, it's because we've seen the hypocrisy on all sides, left wing, right wing, front wing, back wing. We've seen so many hypocrisies with these leaders that a lot of people are so disillusioned, they mind their own business and they feel like, I don't even want to vote because if I vote for any of them, I'm going to feel guilty once they screw us over. So a guy like Snowden, in Oliver Stone's view, according to that film and according to what I remember of Stone talking about that film, Snowden's the real patriot. Snowden's the real hero. And you can make a case that he spoke too much or shared too much, but you can make a case that he didn't. So, I mean, it's a fascinating story. And it kind of is one of those things, Angela, where a lot of us, and I guess I'm speaking for myself to some extent, but a lot of us feel like the powers that be are so much in control of our lives that we don't even want to rock the boat or even appear like we're rocking the boat anymore, because we just want to play our video games, or we just want to watch TV, or we just want to go to the movies. We just want to have that bag of peanut M&Ms and solving
but
the
Mikey,
world's
I have
problems.
to remind you, Mikey, and I have to remind everybody else out there. If it were not for those people that rocked the boat and pumped their fist in the air
Right.
and said, we're mad as hell and we're not going to take it anymore. Were it not for those people, we would not have the ability or the pleasure or even the right to sit down and play our video games. There would be no video. We'd all be working for the government at this point.
Yeah.
You know? And sadly, and I think frighteningly, I think that's where it's heading anyway. We're going to actually talk about this right after our commercial, but I have to do 2 spots, and we're going to get this out of the way. And I got to fill, and I don't know if you've seen this, but I got to film after the break. We're going to talk a little bit about this because it's an interesting film. But folks, we are about to lose a sponsor that's been with us for 7 years. Mikey Messier got this sponsor for us. And I've got 2 more weeks. I'm probably a month at the outside of this sponsor. So we're going to just say our friends at Manscaped and Kyle Miller, thank you so much for all that you've done for us. And here's to Manscaped.
You're on a hot date, you're making the cut. You can't be dealing with a faulty left nut. Manscaped is the answer for your gnarly nut sack. Before that babe tells you to hit the road, Jack. In this crazy world of ours, we're often climbing the walls. In all of the confusion, don't forget about your balls. Manscaped to the rescue for your precious crown jewels. Get it today, don't delay. Please be good to your tools.
Got your coffee mugs lined up, morning pour in your hands. T-shirts fresh off the shelf, books you can hold and scan. Yeah, you know the name. Now you know the name. Bring it back again, grab 1, grab 2, show your crew the proof. Wear it, share it, keep that feeling true. Whoa, Mikey and the Mad Dog, say it out loud. Mikey and the Mad Dog, wear it with pride. Mikey and the Mad Dog,
It's the Mikey and the Mad Dog Show on WTBR Radio 88.7, live from Philadelphia. Hello, everybody. We are back after our break. Mikey, I have a film. Don't know if you saw it or not, but it's an interesting take on a movie. The film is number 15 on my list, Songbird. What do you know about Songbird? Have you seen the film?
The name is familiar, but I don't recall it. Who's in it? What's it about?
It's an independent film, largely an unknown cast. It's about an outbreak. Just now, by the way, folks, this film was made in 2017. I want you to keep in mind what I'm saying. You can check this out. 2017, this film was made. It's called Songbird, and it's about an outbreak, an epidemic called COVID-26. You can't make this up. The disease that the outbreak, the pandemic was COVID-26. And the film was done in 2017. Okay. So which came first? The idea for COVID or the movie COVID?
Right.
It's an interesting
I don't
film. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I said I don't think I've seen it, but I do know that there was a film called Outbreak maybe 15 years earlier. But keep going with Songbird because it does look very interesting.
Yeah, Outbreak was an interesting film. I love that film. Dustin Hoffman, actually. Morgan Freeman, great cast. Also, similarly in that line, Mikey, there was a film more recently with Matt Damon called Contagion. With the same storyline on the same theme, presented in a different way, but essentially, there's a pandemic, world outbreak. People are, trying to save themselves and save the world, the whole bit.
Right.
But Songbird was interesting in that it actually named a disease COVID-26 3 full years before COVID-19 hit in full effect in 2020. But
Right.
we know that that this film was quickly, and I mean rapidly, pulled from distribution. They did not want this movie out. Somebody paid a lot of money or pulled a lot of strings to get this movie stopped. And you can find a copy of this film if you have streaming services like Kodi. Amazon Prime has it. It's being shown on Amazon Prime. Tubi TV. But other than that, you would be very hard pressed to try to find a hard copy of this movie because there are just none around. So the question that begs to be answered, or begs to be asked, I should say, a film like Songbird that with such accuracy, Mikey, with such
Right.
pinpoint accuracy, that names this thing COVID-26, you gotta, at least my mind works this way, you gotta ask yourself, did the government have an idea? And this is like, okay, hey, this movie came out. Let's take this idea and run with it. Because again, it was a low budget indie film. Nobody really was going to know about it anyway. It didn't make any money.
Right.
Only after COVID hit did Songbird pick up legs and start to run like a mother humper.
Well, for anyone that doubts the government is capable of doing such things, just look into MK Ultra and the experiments they did on human citizens with LSD, acid, and stuff like that. I mean, I'm a very patriotic guy. I'm a very pro USA type of guy. But if you're not logical enough to realize that we do have faults here, and I think it was Bruce Springsteen, who's a guy from your neighborhood, Angelo, who said, "Blind faith in your leaders or your government or in anything will get you killed." That's the way I look at things.
Yeah,
trust but verify.
Yeah, Bruce was actually semi-quoting Thomas Jefferson in Bruce's particular way. But yeah, the quote was the Thomas Jefferson quote that Bruce Springsteen was trying to, in his own little way, put a spin on it.
Yeah.
We just mentioned Contagion. That's number 14 on the list. Eagle Eye is number 13 on the list.
Not familiar with that one either. You got me tonight, buddy. You got me on some good ones here.
Well, it's called Stump Messier, the movie maker extreme. We got him tonight, folks. We got him. And it's not often that I can stump Mikey Messier when it comes to movies, but I'm doing pretty fucking good tonight.
This is good.
Let's see. Here you go, Mikey. Here's one I know you've seen. Enemy of the State.
That one's more familiar. Is that Denzel, or who's in Enemy, or Julia Roberts, right?
Julia Roberts, Will Smith, bunch of folks. All-star cast.
1998, Enemy of the State follows a labor lawyer whose life unravels after he unwillingly comes into possession of evidence of a political assassination, making him the target of a powerful NSA official. And once again, Angelo, kind of mirroring my statement about Mel Gibson and conspiracy theory, especially in 1998 when you have Will Smith, who's coming off some of the hugest movies, Men in Black, and for a couple of years, Will Smith movies own Memorial Day weekend, which is the start of summer in the cinema world. But if you have Will Smith playing a character who's up against the U.S. government in any type of way, that is taking a bold statement in some regard, So, I mean, I give credit to Will Smith for that one.
Well, it's interesting you say that because Number 12 on the list is Independence Day.
There you
Will
go.
Smith. Yeah.
And that one is about the alien invasion and how the whole world, like different countries, have to
Yeah.
put aside their differences to defend the planet of humanity against a different.
And I put that on the list, Mikey, because it's exactly what you just said. People around the world, all right, being forced now to look above the skies, and all these ships are triangulating from different places. Okay, here's the thing though, that's
Right.
interesting. The government now isn't hiding the fact, and this movie was I think the date on it was what was the date on it?
I think it's 2000. Let me look it up real
I
quick.
think it was 99 or 2000, perhaps somewhere around there. I might be off by a year, but I think it was around 2001 or 2002, somewhere around there.
1996.
Oh, 96. Boy, was that
And there
off by
was
a few years.
there was
Okay.
a sequel which I don't even remember. Independence Day Resurgence 2016.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I didn't care for the resurgence. It kind of followed, it semi followed the first one, but it was not the same movie.
right.
It was just a completely different movie. But the interesting thing about it is that now you're talking about the government subliminally. There's nothing subliminal about this now. They're like in your face. Yep, we acknowledge that there are things out there. We don't know what they are. When you in your lifetime would you ever have seen the United States government acknowledge extraterrestrial life, let alone let videos out from the Pentagon, classified videos that are now fully disclosed.
Right.
We live in the age of disclosure now, and for some things. Okay, there's a film here, Mikey. Again, it's a Nicolas Cage film. The next one on our list is called Snake Eyes.
I did see that one, and I'm trying to remember Snake Eyes. I'm gonna Google that one real quick. Tell me why did you put this one on the list?
Snake Eyes is about a political assassination of a guy named, you're gonna love this one. You can't make this shit up. Charlie Kirkland.
Oh wow.
Okay, wait a minute. Here's the best part. The person who assassinates him is called Tyler, the executioner. You can't make this up.
Right.
So which came first? Clearly, Snake Eyes came first, as in my opinion, Mikey. My opinion only, folks. I think Snake Eyes was the catalyst for setting the stage for the Charlie Kirk assassination. So-called assassination.
Right.
I can't tell you how I know, but there are people that are all too willing to talk. And knowledgeable people, Mikey, that are all too willing to talk. And I will tell you that they don't mind telling you that Charlie Kirk is alive and well. They won't tell me where, but they said, just trust me, he's alive and well.
Interesting.
Well, if you see him, tell him I said hi.
The historical note I remember about Snake Eyes, I believe this is the movie that the boxer Lennox Lewis appears in.
Yes,
and
sir.
He blames this movie or his being distracted by having to appear in the movie as himself as the reason he wasn't fully prepared to fight Hasim Rockman. So basically, Lewis ended up losing to Hasim because he was distracted by this film, according to Lennox.
He lost because he's a lousy fighter, Mikey.
No,
because the fact of the matter is, on Lennox Lewis, taking nothing away from the guy. That's because I'm a boxing fan. I love that shit.
Sure.
Taking nothing away from Lennox Lewis as a fighter, absolutely top notch. However, He's also full of shit. Okay, he's full of shit if he's telling people and wants people to believe that that he was distracted by Hasim Rockman. Are you
No,
kidding me?
he was distracted by his appearing in the film. He had a weekend shortly before the fight in real life where he appeared as himself in the movie Snake Eyes.
Yeah.
So he basically left training camp in order to act in a movie as himself, a boxer, therefore
Yeah.
distracting himself from preparing for Rockman. So he's not blaming anyone but himself and his own. That's like the Rocky 3 syndrome, when you become too big of a star and you
Yeah.
lose the eye of the tiger type of thing.
Exactly. Well, if he was a smart boxer, he would have used the movie as a mini training camp to keep in shape, instead of making excuses about why he got his ass kicked. Yeah, I mean, that's just my take on it. Mikey, V for Vendetta.
I did see this one, and I remember at the time, I believe Natalie Portman's in this one, and
Yes, sir.
this is the movie with Anonymous, right? And I remember Anonymous in this early 2000s decade, and maybe some of our viewers remember as well, the masks and how Anonymous was kind of this catch-all anti-establishment movement or very cryptic type of thing, which I never really got a handle on. I'll be honest, I went to see this movie, and I think kind of like a Robert Rodriguez film that I'm thinking of. I'm trying to remember which one, but it just didn't work with me. Like, I'm not saying it's bad. I just don't think that I was clicked into V for Vendetta. What did you think?
Mikey, what was it about the film that did not resonate with you? Because I actually loved the film. I actually have a copy of it, and it's one of my top 5 favorite movies.
Yeah, I just I don't know, because if it doesn't click for me, I tend not to remember it very well. So I remember that Natalie Portman is great. I'm a big fan of hers, but for whatever reason, maybe it was just the concept of Anonymous. Like, for me, the people that, if you're really going to be a hero or heroic, you have to stand by your beliefs. You have to be upfront about it. And the whole concept of Anonymous is more or less hiding behind a mask. And I get it, where that also gives you more freedom to speak your mind if you're, trying to dodge responsibility or circumstances or repercussions, even illegal repercussions or immoral repercussions. But for whatever reason, it just didn't hold with me.
Well, I'll tell you why I like it. The reasons you didn't like it were absolutely the reasons I did, and here's why: because the film is metaphoric in nature. We all wear a mask, is what the film is saying. We all wear a mask. What you and I are doing right now on this computer, this is our mask now, because you can unilaterally destroy any person you want without ever them seeing you. And it's simply a matter of doing this, Mikey.
Right.
Flipping down your camera. Okay? And all they have is a voice, and sometimes not even that. Sometimes, Mikey, they have nothing but words on a Facebook page or an X page or a Instagram or TikTok.
Right.
So that's our mask, and that's why I love the film. Plus, it was the last film of one of my favorite actors, John Hurt, who I thought was absolutely brilliant.
Okay.
Amazing actor, and Natalie Portman was absolutely incredible. And she's one of my favorite actresses too, as well. The idea that this England has become this dystopian society that's almost completely dependent upon, well, in fact, it is completely dependent upon the government. Okay. Yeah. And so what V does, the V for Vendetta, he is anonymous, but that film single-handedly, that again, life imitating art, imitating life. That film gave birth to the Q movement. Okay? So, which came first, the chicken or the egg or the chicken? You know? So,
Right.
you can't have one without the other, you know?
You mean when you say Q, you mean QAnon?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly right. Yep. And so, and that's the whole thing. The anonymous movement in V for Vendetta became the real life QAnon.
Right.
They even, to the point, Mikey, where they even utilized the mask, and they had the mask replicated, hundreds and thousands of them. I have one here.
All right.
You know?
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. We all wear a mask. It's a matter of what kind of mask do we wear, you know?
Sure.
Let's see. Here's one from back in the day, 1976, Mikey.
Okay.
Something that we're dealing with today. A film with Faye Dunaway, Peter Finch, William Holden, all-star cast. The film is called Network.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
This one
Talk
I've
to me
seen.
about Network. There you go.
Enough is enough, and I can't take it anymore. Is that it? Is it?
I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. Another
Right.
fist pumper. Yep, absolutely.
So what I know about Network, and I have seen it. It's been a while since I've seen it, but it's one of those generational films where if you saw it when it came out at the time, it really left an impression on you. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's basically a commentary on the state of network news. Is that correct?
Absolutely today. Yes.
Right.
We're talking about a film 50 years old this year. 50 years old this year. And it's as relevant today, 50 years later, as it was when it was first released in June of 1976. Why? Simple, Mikey. Simple. When you're old like me, you'll understand one day. Here's the thing.
Right.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah.
And that's the essence of every movie that we did. I saved the best for last, Mikey.
Okay.
I saved the best for last. Two of them, actually three. Eyes Wide Shut.
Oh,
Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise.
No, I wrote it.
What Stanley Kubrick did with this one.
Well, I believe this is Stanley Kubrick's last full feature film.
It sure was.
And basically, he takes us into this world of this couple, Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, who at the time were a real life couple and were always in the public eye with the gossip papers and so forth. What's the state of their relationship and yada, yada. And Nicole Kidman, this beautiful Australian actress, Tom Cruise, who's been, America's dream boy since 1983 with Risky Business. And here they are in this film it's more of an art film than you'd expect from either one of those two at the time. And it's basically about a couple who's getting a little bit sick of each other, and they discover some outside sexual interests, especially the male character, with more or less a cult type of group. And talking about underground societies, the underground society that Tom Cruise's character finds himself with or involved in is they're wearing masks, they're having sexual orgies, there's passwords to get into. There's a young woman who dies early in the film that we're kind of suspicious of how she passed away. And the Tom Cruise character kind of goes on this odyssey of getting deeper and deeper into a world that he's not quite prepared to be in, which is this cult sex world. And eventually he has to get home to his loving wife, and somehow it seems that this adventure has made him more appreciate his normal life of the wife and kid and his job as a doctor. So it's a very interesting film. It's a film that I remember writing a college paper on. I wish I still had that paper, but it's a movie that if you've seen it once, you probably want to see it again because there's many layers to it.
It's an interesting commentary on the age-old question: be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it.
Right.
You know, I saw the film. I saw it twice, actually. I had to actually watch it twice because there were, again, you mentioned the layers. I'm pretty good. I'm a pretty good student of film. I consider myself a cinephile.
Yeah.
Judge, and if you looked at my video wall, you'd understand why. But I have a special affection in my heart for Stanley Kubrick. I think he was just absolutely one of the most future thinking, forward thinking, chance takers in film. He was the guy that took chances, wasn't afraid to take chances with movies.
Right.
When you talk about films like Clockwork Orange, The Shining, Eyes Wide Shut. And I absolutely believe that Stanley Kubrick directed the moon landing. And the reason I believe that is because there was a film released in 1972. You might know the film, Mike. It was called Capricorn 1.
Don't know that one either.
Capricorn 1 is about 3 astronauts who think they're going to the moon and end up on a movie set in the middle of Nevada.
Okay.
In the desert. Because the president had to divert the attention away from what was going on with him at the time.
Right.
So they create this, this fake moon mission. Again, art imitating life, life imitating art. Take your pick.
Right.
The next on the list is, I know you've seen this because it's just one of those films that everybody saw it when it came out, judging by the box office numbers anyway. The Matrix.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, good.
There you go, The Matrix.
There's a series of films that I'm pretty sure you have on the list that I haven't seen, but The Matrix I have seen. And in the last couple of years, they've re-released The Matrix on the big screens in Jacksonville a few times. So I've gotten to see it again in the theaters. And this movie launched 1,000 theories, what they call the manosphere, which is, podcasts and books that men try to uplift each other, and sometimes at the expense of women, I guess. But basically, the manosphere will use the red pill, blue pill analogy over and over again. What I found interesting, Angelo, is that the 2 brothers who wrote and directed The Matrix have since become 2 sisters. They've both transgendered. And according to them, the original Matrix film was a giant metaphor for their own struggles to live as they wanted to live as women. So I don't know if that if that revelation from the filmmakers changes anyone's enjoyment or perception of the film. It doesn't really for me, because to me, I try to separate the art for the artist 99% of the time. Some exceptions to that, but
I think that what you just said begs a commentary.
Sure,
because it's an interesting take. I think the fact that both filmmakers, both brothers, transitioned from male to female is essentially the film itself. The film is a transition.
Right.
The artist became the art, in other words, is what I'm saying.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you went from one creation, you created another version of yourself, another art form, and you encapsulated this personal art form into this celluloid art form, this
Right.
film, The Matrix. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. It's one of my favorite movies to watch. I love anything, like that blends real life with sci-fi with a little bit of imagination. I love films like that. The last one on the list, Mike, and I had to do this because we're both wrestling guys.
Okay.
Starring Keith David and Roddy Piper, They Live.
All right. So
there you go. And we're going to finish up with Roddy Piper.
Well, this is great because I can tell a story of when I saw this movie.
There you go.
My high school football team, of which I was not on the team, never tried out, wasn't on it, wasn't particularly interested, but they were involved in the state championship game. And so my team and some of my schoolmates were taking a bus to go to Hampton, Virginia to watch the state championship. And for whatever reason, a guy named Scott Nyberg and I decided that we were going to sit that one out and go to the local movie theater and see They Live instead. So my high school compatriots got blown out. They got destroyed in the state championship game. And we saw a great movie. And as our buddy El Rufian says, that fight in the alley was the best movie fight ever, and that's between Roddy Piper and Keith David.
1,000% agree, Ruff. That was absolutely that was, and you know what? I got to tell you something about that fight scene. Roddy Piper and Keith David choreographed it themselves.
Yeah,
and didn't tell the director.
Right.
They choreographed it themselves, but basically Roddy Piper choreographed the whole thing. Showed Keith David how to take a fall. The whole bit. It was great. Great movie.
Yeah. What I love about that movie is it really is, I came here. The people remember the quote or the meme, as the kids say, I came here to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of bubble gum. But what people remember is the idea that you put on John Carpenter, I believe, was the director of this one. So the idea is that you put on these glasses and you can see the messages that they're sending to you if you put the glasses on. And
Absolutely.
it's the lizard people. And I think, once again, Angelo, as you've been saying all night, what the chicken or the egg, life imitates art or art imitates life, because there are legitimate theories out there now. And there was an author who wrote about this, about lizard people, like really, really thinking that the lizard people are out there. So
what are they calling them, Mike? They call them reptilians. Is that what they're calling them?
Yeah, they call them the reptilian people, or the
first time I heard that, I was like, "What the fuck are they talking? What the hell are they talking about?"
I got to look it up because
I never heard that term in my life.
Reptilian conspiracy theory. There was a book by a famous author about this stuff. And I'm looking it up right now because I think it's a little bit important that we know.
Are you talking about the author David Icke?
That's exactly who I'm talking about.
David, oh God, yeah, David Icke. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, he's a brilliant guy, but I have to wonder sometimes about, like, whatever. I want some of what he's smoking, man.
Yeah,
it's some good shit. It's some really good stuff.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, you say he's brilliant, but it's like this, Angelo. The people that are really the Picassos, the Albert Einsteins, the Thomas Edisons, they're always walking that tightrope between brilliance and destruction. I mean, really, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is a fine line. It is a fine line for sure. Jordan, oh yes, another one, Jordan Maxwell. He was brilliant. Dr. Jordan Maxwell. What an amazing guy. He was do you know who he is, Mikey?
I don't actually know.
Jordan Maxwell, he's passed away now, but Jordan Maxwell was a guy who propagated this whole notion that what you see isn't really what you're seeing. Back in the late 50s, early 60s, he looks like your typical college professor, bald-headed, round spectacle glasses like this, a little bit of hair on the side.
Yeah.
But Jordan Maxwell was one of these guys that was way, way ahead of the curve back at a time when people looked at people like him and went, what's he smoking?
Right.
That kind of thing. But come to find out that almost everything he talked about has come to pass. Almost everything. You can actually go on to our channel on Podbean, and there's a link to Jordan Maxwell's channel there. Or you could go to his channel, the Jordan Maxwell channel, on Spotify, on Podbean, on any of the iHeartRadio, any of the outlets that we're on, and he's right there with us. Because our show, by the way, folks, we are very proud to say that we finally broke the top 50, and I'm thrilled. We broke the top 50 on Spotify and Podbean. So the 49 ahead of us better get ready, because we're going to start kicking some ass and moving people out the way a little bit.
What you
Let me
gonna
see
do?
who's up in the room. That still got Ruffian says he wrote them. Yes, the Matrix of Power was the big one. Great stuff, really great stuff. The lizard people, yes, he's absolutely right. Jordan Maxwell did talk about the reptilian people before David Icke did. But David Icke, though, Ruffian, David Icke was the guy who really kind of, and I got to give him his props on this. He really kind of solidified it in the psyche of the conspiracy theorist. He really, really kind of put the exclamation point on it. Mikey, we're gonna a bunch of shows coming up. We're gonna talk about, and because you're the co-host now, we're gonna do a lot more film shows, and we're gonna do a lot more of these kind of the dissecting. And I'd like to do a film. I'd like to do a show one night. And I actually wrote it down today. I'm going to talk to you about it on the air, since our people are still watching. And thank you for watching. We are very grateful. I want to do a show with you called The Director's Cut.
Okay.
And this is what I want to do in this show. I want to take 5 or 10 films that you pick and 5 or 10 that I pick, and talk about what was the director trying to convey with his movie. Because when you're a director, you know this, because your name has been underneath where it says directed by.
Sure.
Okay. And and that's your movie, that becomes your movie.
Right.
Okay. You and the producer to put the money up for it.
Yeah.
Unless it's your own money, and then it's your movie. There's a fascinating film I saw, and I have a copy of it. One of my favorite movies from years ago, back in the 70s again, because I'm substantially older than you are. A film called S.O.B. And it's a movie about the movie business with Richard Mulligan, William Holden, Julie Andrews, Larry Hagman, just a who's who of Hollywood.
Okay.
Literally like a who's who of Hollywood. Shelley Winters, Robert Vaughn. And it's a movie about a director who loses his mind. His name is Felix Farmer, and the film is about the SOB, which is the term they use in the movie business called standard operational bullshit.
Okay.
They used it, and they use that in Hollywood, and it's still used today. I had to find this out, but it's all true. So we're going to do this movie. Again, I keep saying this movie. Something inside me wants to do a movie with you, Mikey. I don't know
All
what
right.
it is. But I'll do a podcast first before we do any movies.
Sure. Sure.
So the podcast title for the show is going to be Director's Cut. And Mikey and I are going to talk about what our chosen directors were thinking of when they make this movie. Mikey, We have some interesting stuff to show people. I'm going to show them one more time. Oh, before we do that,
Sure.
Ruffian says people used to laugh at this weird colored track. Yes, they sure the hell did. They sure the hell did. Now look at them now, right? I want to show everybody one more time. We have an interesting little video. Take a look at this stuff, folks.
Turn the mic on, light the room. Truth cuts through the noise and gloom. No cue cards, no rehearsed lines. Just honest talking, changing times. Movies, music, headlines too. Different angles, different views. Laugh out loud or disagree. Every voice gets through.
What do you think about that, kiddo?
I think it's great. I appreciate you making that stuff for us. And for those that are listening, we have some new merchandise, and Angelo was kind enough to make a Mike Messier director shirt, and it's really cool stuff. So if you want to support the show, you can buy some of our merch. And I'm doing stuff this week, Angelo. I've been here in Rhode Island, but I continue to make artwork and show you some things I made this week.
Yep.
So
May as well tell Mikey now, since he's here tonight, that we're doing an entire show. We're going to call the show Messier's Mantra. I'm stealing that from Mikey.
all right.
Messier's Mantra. We're doing an entire show. You don't know it yet, but you're finding out now as we're speaking.
Okay.
We're doing an entire show of Mike Messier's art, his books, his films. He's got a couple of movies. Yes, he did a couple of movies, folks, for real.
Yeah.
He's a real actor that does real movies, and he's written movies and directed them and starred in them, and his own and other people's, and we're going to talk about all of it. So we're going to spend an entire night with my esteemed co-host. I'm very proud. I don't tell the whole world. I'm very proud to have Mike Messier as a co-host because he lends credibility to this old broken down DJ called the Mad Dog. By the way, people have asked me, where have I worked? Take a look at that. That's where I have worked. WOGL 98.1 in Philadelphia and WPGR. That's Philadelphia Gator Gold Radio. I worked for a guy named Jerry Blavitt at both stations, by the way, and WTBR Radio, which we are here now, and WAYV in Atlantic City. That was my very first radio job, Mikey. WAYV in Atlantic City, broadcasting high atop. You're going to love this one. High atop the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, there was a radio station on top of this 32-story building.
Wow.
And when the wind was blowing just right, so did the station.
Hey, Angelo, have you ever done a origin story episode about your own career on this show?
I've been interviewed twice about my background, how I started. I've been interviewed for television twice. I've been interviewed for podcasts 6 times.
Nice.
It's a 6 times, twice by the same person. And I have, oh God, let's see. And I have never really talked about my background at length on this podcast. On others I have, sure.
Yeah, we should put that in the mix too for before the end of the year. You should have
absolutely
the Mad Dog origin.
It's funny, Mikey, that you say that, because my wife been married to my wife we've been together 13 years now, and married for 12. And my wife says to me, I didn't know you did that, and I didn't know you did this, and I didn't. She goes, everything. I said, "Hun, there's a lot you don't know about, because you don't. First of all, you don't ask me.
Right.
Nobody asked me. I had a life.
Yeah.
I had a good life.
We'll do an episode from puppy to Mad Dog, and we'll have myself and El Rufian and Leo ask you a bunch of questions about your origins.
Absolutely, of course. Absolutely. I'd love to. Far be it from me to talk about myself. I'll talk about myself. Absolutely. it's like you ask, it's like a wrestler says, "Well, enough about me. What do you think of me?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
um, Mikey, it's MikeMessier.com. Tell everybody what to expect at MikeMessier.com right there.
Yeah, if you go to MikeMessier.com, that'll take you to my Instagram, which is Mike Messier Art on Instagram. That'll take you to the artwork like I'm showing you here. And also the books, as Angelo always is kind to mention, Fight or Play Basketball, the new one, Bad Girls with Good Tattoos. And those books are available through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Hoopla. And I appreciate anyone checking them out. And Fight or Play Basketball, Mike Messier. If you go to Amazon, you might have to put like books and then Mike Messier Fight or Play Basketball. The easiest thing to do is go to MikeMessier.com and scroll to the bottom where I have hyperlinks to take you directly to it. And I'm doing my thing, Angelo. I've been here. We still do the podcast while I'm up in Rhode Island. Thank my host, the DiNucci compound, for hosting me and letting me do the podcast from the DiNucci estate. And
yes, tell Tom. I'll tell him myself. Tom, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Tommy or Thomas or Sir.
Yeah, Tommy goes by Tommy. We might want to invite him on the show at some point, see what he's up to.
Brother, I got news for you. You and I are going to sit down. I got a whole list of people I want to come on the show.
Good.
And you know most of them. The other thing is, in addition to MikeMessier.com, you can check everything out at WTBR.podbean.com, and Mike Messier's full website is there also.
Thank you.
You can check him out at the on the top of our website. It'll say Meet Mikey, Meet the Mad Dog, our celebrity gallery, some legal stuff, some download our media kit. We have a media kit. It's a real live media kit. You can check out our feedback page. We have a full merch page. You saw it tonight. All of our merch is available. Everything from coffee cups. You got 4 designs to choose from. You got 3 designs. I'm sorry, you got 4 designs to choose from on our t-shirts. We have a brand new shopping cart with a beautiful drop-down menu. And you can anything you want to do. You got questions, ask. It's there for you. And it is a comprehensive website and I'll tell you what. Just go there again. MikeMessier.com is a standalone site, but he's also part of WTBR Radio. And you can go to WTBR.podbean.com, and Mike's full website is one click away. All right. And you can read about me and my background. And, if you're interested and you just might fall asleep, but that's okay too. But on behalf of Mike Messier, my esteemed partner and my partner in crime. Oh, interesting. By the way, Mikey, next week, and I have to mention this because it's absolutely critical. Next week, we are doing Return to Alcatraz, the escape from Alcatraz, with the cousin of 2 of the brothers who escaped and his co-author, Mike Lynch, my friend Mike Lynch. So it'll be Mike Lynch and Ken Widener, and they're bringing a special guest with them. Okay.
Good. I've been listening to their book.
FBI agent. His name is Stewart. I forget Stewart's last name, but Stewart is a real live FBI agent that worked with the guys on this book, and they have a amended edition coming out. So the book that you have out there, Alcatraz: The Last Escape, it's being redone that month in the last of August.
Okay.
And they will be here next week on August the 24th. And I just want to make sure that I have this right for everyone because it's really important. And August the 25th, we have a gentleman affectionately known as the Spa Guy. He's an expert in all things South, particularly he's an expert in all things Elvis. And this is as we speak tonight, this is Elvis Week in Memphis, Tennessee. Yesterday was 49 years ago that we lost Elvis Presley.
Wow.
And it's hard to imagine that he's been gone for almost 50 years next year. That's just remarkable. And we will talk about that with Billy, the brand new holographic show being produced for Elvis's old stomping grounds in Las Vegas at the Westcott Hotel, formerly known as the International. Billy Stallings will be here. He is, as again, affectionately known as the Spa Guy, and he's a hell of a guy, really nice guy. I think you guys are going to like him a lot. And Mikey, I think there's not too much more we can say other than like Papa DeCipio always said, tomorrow's promised to no one. So make today count. Be good to somebody. Do something nice on behalf of Mikey, the movie maker Messier. I am the Mad Dog. Take care, folks. We'll see you tomorrow night, and we will talk about UFOs and all that outer worldly stuff with the rest of the crowd tomorrow night that joins us. Take care, folks. Good night and God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.